She doesn't need those pills anymore, my daughter said, cool as a cucumber, right there at the brunch table. Placebo is cheaper. She held up my heart medication like it was trash. Replaced it with a bottle of gummy vitamins from Walmart. Her daughter, the one who used to braid my hair when she was little, just laughed. Grandma's not gonna know the difference. She naps through life anyway. I sat there with my tea shaking in my hand. They didn't even whisper. They talked about me like I was already gone. But I heard everything. What they didn't know was that I installed a nanny cam last winter, hidden inside that little porcelain angel on the bookshelf. The one they think is tacky. So that night, I rewound the footage. Watched the swap with my own two eyes. And the next morning, I made 2 phone calls. One to the pharmacy. And one to the police. By 10 a.m., both were at my door. Side by side. My daughter thought she was about to cash in on my life insurance. Instead, she cashed in something else. I may be 78, but I still drive myself to church every Sunday. I make my own soup, fold my laundry, and darn my socks. I even clipped my own hedges last week, though I'll admit, I paid for that with a sore back for 2 days. Point is, I'm not helpless. Not yet. Not even close. But ever since my husband passed last spring, my daughter Cheryl's been circling like a vulture. She started showing up more. Not to keep me company, oh no. She was always checking in, always just dropping by with a clipboard of suggestions. You should really think about downsizing, Mom, she'd say, sipping my coffee like she bought it. This place is a lot for someone your age. That someone your age stings in a way I can't explain. She used to ask me how to make my Sunday roast. Now she calls me someone. I know the house is old. It creaks in the winter and the back door sticks when it rains. But it's my house. Built it with my husband in 1978. Every light switch, every floorboard, every dent in the banister has a story. I told her that. She just nodded like I was talking about an old car she'd already priced on Craigslist. My granddaughter Emma, well, she used to be my little shadow. She'd curl up beside me on the couch while I knitted and ask about the olden days. Now she won't even put down her phone. At the family brunch 2 Sundays ago, I made blueberry muffins from scratch. Emma took one bite and said, "Oh, these taste vintage." Then giggled. Like it was cute to be cruel. The table laughed. Cheryl laughed. I forced a smile. Even the dog seemed embarrassed. That morning, Cheryl brought a tote bag from Walmart. Inside were groceries and, supposedly, my prescriptions. I picked up your refills, she said. They were out of your usual, so I got something better. She pulled out a bottle of gummies. Gummies? I asked. They're natural, she said. Better for you than all that lab junk. And cheaper, too. I stared at the label. Didn't recognize the brand. Didn't recognize the tone in her voice either. They're heart support vitamins, she said, over-enunciating like I was slow. Same thing, basically. Emma snorted. Placebo's cheaper, she mumbled. My real medication, the one my doctor prescribed after my mild heart episode last year, was nowhere in sight. I reached for my purse to check the pharmacy receipt from the week before. Cheryl was faster. Don't stress yourself, she said, her hand lightly pushing mine away. I already took care of everything. That night, I couldn't sleep. I got up, made some weak tea, and sat in the living room. Just me and the soft blue glow of my little porcelain angel. That's when I remembered the nanny cam. My friend Shirley's grandson set it up after her caregiver started stealing toilet paper. I thought it was silly, but she insisted I get one too. Put it in something nobody touches, she said. So I chose the angel. Emma once called it creepy. Perfect. I pulled out the memory card and slid it into my old laptop. My hands were shaking, but I found the right file. And there it was. Clear as day, Cheryl, taking the prescription bottle out of my cabinet, shaking the pills into her palm, dumping them in her purse. Then replacing them with the gummies. Emma laughed. Cheryl whispered, she'll never know the difference. I paused the footage. Sat there in silence for a long, long time. Then I made some notes. I always make notes when I'm upset. On a yellow legal pad, I wrote, check prescription history. Call pharmacy. Ask about vitamin bottle brand. Legal action? Insurance paperwork. Where is it? Then I wrote, Don't let them smile at your funeral. The next morning, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went to the pharmacy in person. Drove myself. Didn't tell a soul. When I asked for my refill history, the clerk frowned. Said I hadn't picked up my meds in 2 weeks. Your daughter said you switched to holistic, she explained. She even signed the cancellation form. I stared at the clerk. Blinked. I never signed anything, I said. She looked nervous. Want me to get the pharmacist? I nodded. A few minutes later, the pharmacist came out with a folder. Inside, a fake signature that looked like mine from 1993. I took a photo of the paper with my flip phone. Then I dialed the non-emergency police line. When the officer asked why I was calling, I said, I think someone's trying to kill me, politely. I didn't cry in the car after the pharmacy visit. I thought I might. Instead, I drove home with the window down. Let the wind slap my cheeks dry. When I pulled into the driveway, Cheryl's car was already parked out front. Emma was sitting on the porch steps in leggings and one of those shirts with holes in it on purpose. I stepped out of my car. You went out? She asked, not even standing. I nodded. Pharmacy. Emma blinked. Why? Mom already. I know what your mom did, I said, clear as day. She looked away. Picked at her phone. Inside, Cheryl was rearranging my spice rack. Why are you touching my cinnamon? I asked. She didn't turn around. I just thought things could be better organized in here. My heart medicine was organized just fine. She froze for a second. Then turned, smile pasted on like stage makeup. Mom, she said, in that syrupy voice she uses when she wants something. We've talked about this. You're getting older. You don't always remember what you've taken. Funny, I said. Because I remember exactly what you did. She dropped the smile then. You're being paranoid, she snapped. I walked over to the cupboard. Opened it slowly. Pulled out the vitamin bottle. Shook it once. Let's go ahead and read this together, I said. Let's pretend I'm 5 and you're explaining it to me. You're being dramatic, she hissed. I lowered my voice. You lied to the pharmacy. You forged my name. And you took my prescription, my actual heart medication, and threw it away. Mom, it's placebo, she said again, like that word was a band-aid for attempted manslaughter. Emma peeked in from the hallway. I turned to her. You were in on it too? Her eyes widened. I didn't know you'd be this upset. This is my life, I said. It's not a prank. It's not TikTok. It's my heart. Cheryl folded her arms. You're being hostile. I'm going to need you to calm down. And there it was. That sentence. The one people use when they want to make you feel crazy in your own home. I nodded slowly. All right. Then I walked down the hallway and locked the door to my bedroom. For the first time in 40 years. That night, nobody spoke at dinner. I made myself a frozen pot pie. Ate it on the back porch with my little TV tray. Inside, I could hear Cheryl heating up something in the microwave. I didn't care. I let the bugs come land on me. I let the breeze carry my rage out into the yard like smoke from a bad fire. When the lights went off in the house, I checked the camera again. They hadn't touched it. Didn't know it was there. I watched the footage from earlier. Caught a new little gem, Cheryl on the phone with someone. She's being stubborn, she whispered, sitting right under the bookshelf. Honestly, I think she's ready for full-time care. Then silence. Then, no, we'll wait until the paperwork clears. No need to rush. I paused the footage. What paperwork? The next morning, I went hunting. I waited until they left, Cheryl to yoga, Emma to wherever it is that 22-year-olds go at 11 a.m. on a weekday. I know it's not work. I checked my office. The filing cabinet. The drawer where I kept my estate documents. Half the folders were missing. So was my living will. Now my hands started to shake. Not from the heart. From the fury. My husband's voice echoed in my mind. Always keep 2 copies. Never trust the ones who call you mom with a smirk. I went to the attic. Pulled down the old Rubbermaid bin where we kept our just-in-case papers. Tucked inside a manila envelope, sealed with duct tape, was the original will. Mine and his. And right there, in neat cursive, it said, If Cheryl Emerson is found to act against the best interest of me, or withholds medical care, or interferes with the lawful decisions of my treatment, she is to be removed as executor and beneficiary. My hands stopped shaking. I stared at that sentence until I memorized it. That afternoon, Cheryl came back from yoga like nothing had happened. She was on the phone again, whispering near the back door. "She's just confused," she said. "Her memory's going. If she tries anything, I have witnesses. Emma's seen her wandering rooms at night. It won't be hard to prove mental decline." A pause. "Yeah," she laughed. "Besides, she looks better off the meds. Less bloated. Maybe we did her a favor." I didn't walk in. I didn't slam a door. I didn't raise my voice. I just took out my phone and pressed record. That night, I called my lawyer. Told him to bring a notary. "I want to update the will," I said. He asked if I was sure. "Oh, I'm sure," I said. "And while you're at it, bring a copy of the poisoning laws in this state." It started with little things. Always does. My bedroom door wouldn't close one morning. The hinges had been loosened. I know because I checked them myself. The next day, my favorite recliner was accidentally moved to the garage. "Emma wanted more space to stretch," Cheryl said, shrugging. "You don't even sit in it much anymore." I sat in it every morning. For 20 years. That chair knew my shape better than most people do. And the next week, they started moving dishes. "Why are the mugs in the linen drawer?" I asked. Cheryl didn't even look up from her phone. "Trying something new," she said. It was subtle, but deliberate. The message was clear. This wasn't my house anymore. One morning I came into the kitchen, and there was a couple sitting at my table. Strangers. "Mom," Cheryl said brightly, "this is Greg and Lacey. They're realtors. Just giving them a little tour, that's all." Tour. Nothing serious. Just testing the waters. The man stood and held out his hand. "Lovely property, ma'am. We'd love to chat more about a pre-listing plan." I didn't shake it. I turned to Cheryl. "My house is not for sale." She smiled like I was a toddler refusing broccoli. "You say that now." Greg cleared his throat. "We'll give you some space." They stepped outside. I looked at her. Right in the eye. "You're not on the deed," I said. "Yet," she said, sipping her coffee. That night I looked in the mirror and hardly recognized myself. The woman looking back had lines I didn't remember. Her eyes were tired, mouth thin. But under the surface, something stirred. Not fear. Strategy. I went to my bedroom, locked the door again, opened the laptop, pulled up the camera footage, labeled each file, backed it up twice. Then I opened the safe, pulled out the revised will, photographed every page, tucked the original back in the metal drawer, just in case someone decided to accidentally toss it out with the old utility bills. 2 days later, I overheard Emma on a FaceTime call. She was in the kitchen. I was behind the hallway wall. "No, we haven't moved her yet," she said. "But it's happening soon. She doesn't even know." A pause. Laughter. "Yeah, she's basically just background noise now." Background noise. Later that day, Cheryl knocked on my bedroom door. "I scheduled you a tour," she said through the crack. "One of those upscale senior villages. You'll love it." "No, thank you," I replied. "I wasn't asking," she said. I opened the door. "Then let me be clear," I said. "I am not leaving this house." She stepped back. "Be reasonable, Mom. It's too much for you. The stairs. The cooking. The yard. You've been confused lately. I've been paying your bills lately." I shot back. She flinched. "Good." I walked past her to the living room. Sat in my chair. Yes, I dragged it back in. She followed me. "Why are you making this so hard?" she asked. "Why are you pretending this is love?" She blinked. That one hit. Then came the mail. A letter from my bank. Apparently, someone had requested a name to be added to my joint checking account. Guess who? The form wasn't signed, thankfully. But the attempt was real. I called the bank. "Your daughter said you were losing capacity," the manager told me. My voice shook. "I drove here. I cooked my lunch. I filed my taxes by hand. Do I sound confused to you?" "No, ma'am. I had them lock the account." Told them no changes unless I appeared in person with ID, fingerprints, and a blood sample if needed. I hung up and sat in the car. My hands were fists. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a hostile takeover. The worst came that weekend. It was Sunday. The sky was gray, the kind of cloudy that makes you feel like you're living under a lid. Cheryl called for another family brunch. I cooked myself that morning. Eggs, toast, and real bacon. I ate in silence. Then sat through their brunch like a ghost. They brought store-bought muffins. Poured themselves mimosas. Laughed and chatted like it was just another weekend in the suburbs. Halfway through, Cheryl tapped her glass with a fork. "I have some exciting news," she said. Emma giggled. I didn't look up. "We finalized the placement," Cheryl said. "Mom's moving into Golden Pines Assisted Living. They even have a game room." Emma clapped. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. "What?" I said, calm as ice. "We signed the paperwork on Friday," Cheryl said. "All that's left is the move-in date." "You signed my paperwork?" Cheryl smiled like it was her wedding day. "You're not thinking clearly, Mom. Everyone agrees. Even your pharmacist said you were having memory lapses." I stood up. Emma rolled her eyes. "Here we go." I looked at them both. Then I said it, "I have you on video." Cheryl blinked. "What?" "You replacing my medication. You laughing about it. You forging my name." They didn't speak. For the first time in weeks, they had nothing to say. I also updated my will. And contacted the police. Emma's face went pale. Cheryl tried to recover. "You're being emotional. Let's just sit down." "No," I said. "You're done sitting at my table." Then I walked to the front door and opened it. Two people stood outside. One wore a white coat. The other wore a badge. The pharmacist's name was Daniel. He was maybe 30, polite, nervous. The officer was older. Wore his badge like it weighed something. "Ma'am," he said, "we have a few questions, if that's all right." I stepped aside. "Let them in." Cheryl and Emma just sat there, frozen. Two mannequins mid-brunch. Daniel looked from me to Cheryl. Then opened a folder. "These are the medication records from Lewis Family Pharmacy," he said. "Someone signed off on a cancellation of your prescription for metoprolol on September 12th. He glanced at me. "You confirmed it was not you?" I did. He nodded. "We also received notice from a customer who said the medication had been swapped out." Cheryl spoke up. Her voice cracked. "This is ridiculous." Daniel ignored her. Held up the fake signature sheet. "This is your handwriting?" Cheryl didn't answer. The officer stepped forward. "We also have surveillance footage submitted by the complainant." He looked at me. I handed him the flash drive. Neatly labeled. September 10th, Angel Cam, kitchen swap. He slipped it into his pocket. Then he turned to Cheryl. "You understand forging a medical record and interfering with prescribed treatment is a felony?" Cheryl laughed. A dry, shocked little bark. "Oh, come on. It was vitamins." The officer raised an eyebrow. "You knowingly replaced a heart medication with a non-prescribed substance." "I was trying to help," she snapped. I sat down. Calm as water. "You tried to bury me," I said. Later, after the police left to review evidence, Cheryl stormed into the kitchen. "Do you know what you've done?" she hissed. "Saved myself," I said. She gripped the counter so hard her knuckles went white. "I was trying to manage things. You have no idea how stressful it's been, your bills, your house, your stupid old car." "My car," I said. "My house. You don't own a thing but your excuses." She laughed again. "You think they're going to arrest me? For this?" "I think they might," I said. "And even if they don't, your name is off the will. And the trust." Emma appeared in the doorway. "Wait, what?" I turned to her. "Yes, Emma. That little house you wanted to Airbnb for fun? Not yours. That savings account you thought was yours once Grandma passes? Not anymore." Emma's mouth dropped open. "You promised." "I wrote the check," I said. "And I can unwrite it too." But they weren't done. Because when a thief gets caught, they either crawl away or burn the whole house down. 3 days later, I came home from the store and found the front door wide open. Nothing stolen. Just moved. All my family photos, gone from the hallway. My sewing box dumped on the porch. The safe dragged out and cracked open. Papers missing. Books slashed. My husband's flag, the one from his service funeral, stuffed in the garbage bin. My hand shook. This wasn't theft. It was a message. I called the officer again. Told him what happened. He came out. Took photos. Took notes. Could be them, he said. Could be someone they sent. I asked what could be done. He was honest. Unless there's evidence they did it, it's hard to prosecute. I nodded. Okay, I said. Then it's time. He looked at me. For what? I stood up straight. Brushed lint off my coat. To stop acting like a victim. The next day, I went to the bank. Pulled every penny into a private trust. Not a dollar left in the joint account Cheryl opened without me. Then I went to the lawyer. Filed a restraining order. Hand-delivered a copy to the police. Then I called a cleaning service. Told them to clear every trace of Cheryl and Emma's belongings. Bag it, box it, dump it at the curb. When the guy asked what to do with the toothbrushes, I said, use M to scrub the garage. That night, they came home to find the locks changed. Cheryl banged on the door like a battering ram. You can't do this. I opened the front curtain just a sliver. I already did. Emma shouted, where are we supposed to go? I don't know, I said. Maybe the same place you were sending me. Cheryl's voice cracked. We're family. I shook my head. No. Family doesn't kill you slowly to make the paperwork easier. And I let the curtain fall. I sat down in my recliner. One item left on my list. I opened the laptop. Attached the Angel Cam footage to an email. Sent it to the local news tip line. Subject: elder abuse. Daughter switches meds to speed up inheritance. Then I made a cup of tea. And watched the porch through the window. Like a queen on her throne, waiting for Judgment Day. The problem with kicking out your own daughter is that people talk. By Monday, the phone started ringing. Cousin Sandra called first. Always the one who thought Cheryl was so organized. She told me you're confused, Sandra said. She's worried about your safety. Is that what she told you? She said you're seeing things. She mean the nanny cam footage or the forged signature? Silence. Then, maybe you should just talk to her. I hung up. Wednesday, the pastor's wife came by with a casserole and a nose full of questions. Everyone's just worried. Family's so important. You two were always so close. She swapped out my heart meds. The smile froze on her lips. Well, no one's perfect, she said. I shut the door before she could bless me. By Friday, I was no longer being visited. Just watched. Emma parked 2 blocks down and walked past my house like a tourist every afternoon. Once I saw Cheryl at the end of the street in her car, engine running. She didn't get out. Just stared. Like she was measuring the porch for a coffin. The next blow came in the most humiliating place imaginable. Walmart. I had gone to pick up dish soap and cat litter. I was walking toward checkout when I heard the voice. Loud. Cheerful. But pointed. There she is. Cheryl. With Emma behind her. I tried to walk past them. She followed. Loud enough for everyone in line to hear. You remember where you parked today, Mom? Want us to help you find your car? People turned. She's having some memory trouble, Cheryl told the cashier. We're looking into senior living options. Emma chimed in. Someone said she called 911 because she forgot where she put her soup. It wasn't true. But people laughed. Laughed like I was a sitcom character and not a woman buying her groceries with hands that still remembered how to hold a baby, how to bury a husband, how to rebuild a porch swing from scratch. I turned slowly. Looked Cheryl in the eye. Then looked at the cashier. This is the daughter who tried to poison me, I said. The cashier blinked. Cheryl laughed. Okay, she's kidding. Tell them you're joking, Mom. I didn't. Just swiped my card, took my bag, and left. My knees were shaking by the time I hit the parking lot. But I stood tall. I found my car. Without help. Back home, I opened my mailbox. A thick manila envelope sat on top of the junk flyers. Return address, Eldercare Legal Network. Inside was a court summons. Filed by Cheryl. Petitioning for medical guardianship. Claiming I was mentally impaired, neglecting hygiene, and refusing care. I read every word. Then I read it again. I called my lawyer. He didn't sound surprised. She's trying to fast-track a conservatorship, he said. Same tactic we've seen before. Can she win? A pause. If you don't play this smart, yes. I spent the weekend assembling everything. Emails, videos, pharmacy records, bank documents, witness letters from Shirley and a few church ladies. I even printed screenshots from Emma's social media, where she joked about me being 1 mild cough away from a beach house. On Sunday night, I made 5 labeled binders. 1 for the judge. 1 for the officer. 1 for my lawyer. 1 for my safety deposit box. And 1 for revenge. Monday morning, I went to the credit union. Requested a printout of all account activity from the last 3 months. The teller gave me a strange look. Weird, she said. This form was already processed. On Friday. What form? She turned the screen. A withdrawal request. $4,800. Signed in my name. But I hadn't touched the account. Not since I moved everything. And then I saw it. The form had my old address. The house where Cheryl used to live. The first one. Not even current. She was using stolen information from years ago to pull money from dormant accounts I hadn't touched since my husband died. I stood very still. Then said, print everything. Every transaction. Every form. She did. I took the stack and walked out. Back at home, I called the police. This isn't about pills anymore, I said. It's identity theft. The officer asked if I had proof. I have more than proof, I said. I have patterns. I'm not just being attacked. I'm being erased. Paper by paper. Swipe by swipe. But I'm still here. And if they want a courtroom, they'll get one. And I'll be the last one standing when the gavel falls. I knew something was wrong before I even touched the front door. It was half closed. Not locked. Just hanging. And inside? Silence. No creak of the floorboards. No hum of the fridge. No faint jingle from the cat's collar. Just quiet. That bad kind of quiet. I stepped in. The living room had been ransacked. Not messy. Not wild. Systematic. Drawers pulled. Labels peeled. Files missing. Binders, my binders, gone from the bookshelf. Only the revenge one left because that one stayed in my coat closet behind the rain boots. The good boots, too. Gone. They didn't just steal papers. They stole access. I ran to the bedroom. The safe was open. I knew the lock code had been changed. Not by me. Inside? Empty. Gone. My passport. Gone. The original will. Gone. The deed to the house. And the extra checkbook for the emergency fund my husband and I set up back in '92. I sat down on the bed. Hands in my lap. Back straight. Not crying. Not yet. Just thinking. They broke in. They tampered with federal documents. They stripped me of my name. Cheryl didn't even try to hide it. She called me that night. Didn't even say hello. Just went, I hope you understand this is for your own good. I didn't answer. She continued, calm as a therapist selling snake oil. You've become a danger to yourself. You're losing things. Forgetting appointments. You left the oven on last week. I don't even use the oven, I said. She paused. We're initiating full power of attorney. You don't have power of attorney, I said. We do now, she said. Then hung up. I called my lawyer the next morning. He sounded tense. I'm sorry, he said. Someone submitted a revocation letter, signed by you, terminating our contract. It came through late last night. I thought it was odd, but it passed the notary check. They forged it. He exhaled. I was afraid of that. That was my low point. That afternoon, I sat in the middle of my own living room with a cup of tea I didn't want and thought about what it feels like to become invisible. They didn't want to take care of me. They wanted to replace me. Strip me down to an insurance policy and a death certificate with a signature they could fake. Then something strange happened. The doorbell rang. It was Shirley's grandson, Jacob, the one who installed the angel cam. Tall, kind eyes. Smelled like laundry and coffee. He held up an envelope. Got a weird DM on Facebook, he said. From your granddaughter. Said she needed tech help getting into a home surveillance system. My heart stopped. She said you forgot the passwords and that she was handling things now. I didn't speak. Just stepped aside and let him in. We sat at the kitchen table. He pulled out his laptop. Good news, he said. I never gave her access. She was bluffing. But I did run a backup of all your footage onto the cloud. Want me to show you? I nodded. He clicked around. And then I saw it. A new clip. From the day of the break-in. Cheryl. Entering with a key. Emma. In gloves. Pulling open drawers. Cheryl saying, "Get the green folder. Those are the house papers. We need those notarized by next week." Emma laughing. Maybe I'll throw in a few of her sentimental treasures. And then Cheryl. She's not going to make it to Christmas anyway. I leaned forward. Heart thudding. Jacob paused it. Want me to make copies? All of them, I said. And I need a burner phone. And a flash drive. And a password tracker. He grinned. You planning something? I looked him in the eye. I'm done reacting. By the end of the night, I had a box of evidence, 2 backup drives, and a printed list of everything they tried to steal. I also had a new contact card for a woman named Miss Tilda, a retired paralegal with a reputation for knowing which judges owed favors. Shirley vouched for her. And Shirley doesn't vouch lightly. Before I went to bed, I wrote a list. Not on a computer. Not on my phone. On a yellow legal pad. The same kind I used after that first brunch. I wrote 3 names. Cheryl. Emma. The notary. Then I wrote, "You've crossed the line. You wanted a silent ending. You're getting a loud one instead." I tore the page out. Taped it inside the lid of my recipe box. That way, if anything happens to me, the next person who opens it will know exactly where to start. The next morning, I got a call. It wasn't Cheryl. It was the title company. Apparently, a relative had submitted a form requesting transfer of home ownership due to elder incapacitation. It included a copy of the deed and a forged affidavit saying I'd been moved to a care facility in another state. I hung up, put on my shoes, picked up my flash drive, and drove to the courthouse. I wasn't asking for justice anymore. I was demanding it. There's a moment when fear turns into something else. Not rage. Not even courage. Focus. That's where I am now. I started with the paper trail. 3 flash drives. 5 labeled folders. 17 printed screenshots. Cheryl and Emma left a digital mess behind them. Emails, text logs, social media comments, shared files. They were sloppy. They thought I was an antique. But I'm old enough to remember landlines and smart enough to save chat transcripts in triplicate. I made a chart. With circles. 1 for Cheryl. 1 for Emma. 1 for helpers, like that sketchy notary with a stamp that looked suspiciously like a craft store special. Each had a list underneath. Forged documents. Medical lies. Bank withdrawals. Pharmacy interference. Identity fraud. Real estate theft. It wasn't a family tree. It was a conspiracy web. And at the center? Me. The quiet little ghost they thought was too fragile to fight. I called Miss Tilda. You ready to draw blood? She asked, voice like gravel. Yes, I said. And I brought the shovel. We met at the back table of the senior center. She brought a manila folder, a laptop, and a cinnamon muffin she didn't offer to share. First step's a restraining order, she said. Second step's financial freeze. You want revenge, not just justice? We need timing. Give me the steps. She tapped her pen. We file emergency injunctions to block the guardianship. Serve Cheryl with a cease and desist. Submit identity theft evidence to the DA. She paused. Then we tip off the press. I raised an eyebrow. Elder abuse, she said. Always makes good headlines. Especially with video. I slid her the flash drive. She didn't even blink. Tell me everything. For 4 hours, we sat there, mapping out every dirty detail. Every signature. Every lie. By the end, she looked up. You know what this is, don't you? What? She leaned back. This is a slow-motion murder for profit. I nodded. I'm aware. 3 days later, I put phase 1 into motion. Started with Cheryl's fake notary. I called him. Pretended to be confused. Asked about those nice papers you helped my daughter file. He confirmed everything. Said he still had the originals. Bragged about how good my signature looked. Then he emailed them to me. Signed. Dated. Timestamped. I forwarded them to Miss Tilda. She replied one word, nailed. Next, the pharmacy call. I spoke to Daniel again. The young man with nervous hands. Told him what Cheryl had done. Reminded him he saw the fake cancellation. Reminded him I had his voice recorded, confirming the lie. He agreed to write a statement. Said he should have seen it coming. I said, you were just being polite. I was just being alive. He didn't laugh. Then I dug into Emma. Her school transcripts. Her job. Or lack thereof. Found out she listed my address on her recent tax form to qualify for a stimulus check. Cute. I printed the IRS form. Added it to the Emma folder. Labeled it falsified residency/tax fraud. Next to it, a still frame from the nanny cam footage. Emma in my kitchen, holding a bag labeled prescription return. She grinned in the clip. She wouldn't be grinning much longer. Midweek, I got a call from Cheryl's old employer. I'd left an anonymous tip that she'd been using company time to forge documents. Is this personal? The woman on the line asked. No, I said. It's legal. They opened an internal investigation. I didn't even have to lift a finger. Then came the call from my lawyer. He was back. I rescinded the revocation, I told him. They forged it. I know, he said. I've been talking to the DA. Quietly. You've got a hell of a case. Good, I said. Because I'm about to make it loud. That night, I got a knock at the door. It wasn't a cop. It was Emma. Holding a Starbucks and fake tears. Can we talk? I looked at her. Then at the porch camera. Still rolling. Still streaming. I opened the door halfway. Speak. She tried the poor me routine. It wasn't like that. Mom just panicked. We thought you were declining. I didn't know it would go this far. I said nothing. Then she got nasty. You need us. You think this house is going to take care of you when you break your hip. I smiled. Why don't you ask the city inspector that? I just submitted a report about the unlicensed renovations you did to your apartment. Using my social security number. Her eyes went wide. I shut the door. Didn't even take the coffee. Inside, I checked my list. 1 phase down. 2 to go. But first, a surprise. I opened my inbox. New message from Shirley. Subject line, surveillance drop. Attached was a new clip. Cheryl. In a public library computer lab. Printing something. The librarian had quietly filmed her. The paper? A fake discharge form. With a hospital logo. My name. The date? Next week. I leaned back in my chair. She wasn't done trying. But now? Neither was I. The best revenge doesn't start with yelling. It starts with silence. Structured silence. That Monday morning, I woke up at 5:45. Made my coffee. Fed the cat. Packed my bag. Inside it, 3 flash drives. 2 notarized statements. A printed photo of Cheryl holding my medication. A copy of Emma's fraudulent tax form. And a cinnamon roll, because revenge runs better on carbs. By 7:15, I was sitting outside the county clerk's office, just as the lights came on. Time to pull the first trigger. At 8:01, I handed my documents to the clerk and filed a civil complaint for financial fraud, medical endangerment, and identity theft. Against Cheryl. Against Emma. And against their helpful little notary. The clerk raised an eyebrow when she saw the list of attachments. Is this real? I just said, it's all time-stamped. She didn't ask again. At 9 o'clock, I met Miss Tilda in front of the courthouse. She was holding coffee and a folder labeled press packet. You ready? She asked. I nodded. We walked to the local news station down the street, Channel 7. The receptionist looked skeptical until we dropped the keywords. Elder abuse. Prescription tampering. Forged medical guardianship. And then, this part is important, I said. And I have video. 5 minutes later, we were in the back office. A producer leaned in as I clicked play on the Angel Cam clip. Cheryl, pulling the pills. Emma, laughing. Their voices as clear as Sunday sermon. Placebo's cheaper. She's not gonna make it to Christmas anyway. The producer didn't blink. We'll run it as early as tomorrow. At noon, I walked into Cheryl's old workplace. Yes, I said old. Because thanks to that anonymous tip and a few fun documents I found in her email trash folder, she'd been suspended for HR review. I left a box at the front desk, marked confidential, legal discovery. Inside, her forged signatures. A letter to the IRS she never mailed, but definitely wrote. And a handwritten note she left on my desk months ago that said, "Once she's out, we sell the place and split it." They promised to forward it to their internal counsel. 1:45 p.m. Back at home, I got the call from the police. The officer sounded amused. "Ma'am, your daughter just filed a report saying you were missing." Was I? No. But she told dispatch you'd been taken by someone pretending to be your legal representative. Oh, you mean my lawyer? Pause. I thought so, he said. Thanks for confirming. 3 p.m. The mail arrived. Inside was the final bank letter. Proof of Cheryl's attempt to transfer $4,800 from my dormant account using a fabricated power of attorney. I took a photo. Framed it. It's on my mantle now, right between the cat's ashes and my wedding photo. By evening, I was sitting on my porch when the next move dropped. Cheryl pulled up in her car. Alone. She didn't get out at first. Just sat there, gripping the steering wheel. Then she marched up the walkway. No smile this time. Just a clipboard. "I'm filing for emergency conservatorship," she said. "You can fight, but it'll be over by next month." I stood. No yelling. No drama. Just handed her a manila envelope. "What's this?" she asked. "Your pre-notification," I said. "You've just been named in a civil complaint. You'll be hearing from the DA as well." She opened it. Saw the photo. The documents. The screenshot of her printing the fake hospital discharge. Her hands started to shake. This is twisted." "No," I said. "What you did was twisted. This is just paperwork." She threw the envelope on the porch and stormed off. Didn't even look back. I picked it up, dusted it off, tucked it back into the box marked Phase 2, Public. And then, just before sunset, came the best part. The librarian from Cheryl's discharge day stunt? She called me. Said, "Hey, you remember that guy who was with her? The one helping her print stuff?" I said yes. "He came back today. And he dropped this." She left it in the book drop. I drove down. Picked it up. Inside? A flash drive. Labeled, "Emma, fake testimony recording." I plugged it in at home. There she was, practicing her lines for the court hearing. Grandma's memory is slipping. She forgets names. She left the oven on. Off-camera voice, "Say it again." More emotion. "Emma, she's just not safe alone anymore." Then she laughed. Laughed. I copied the footage. Made 10 backups. Taped a copy to the back of the Angel Cam statue, in case they ever try to smash it. One more task left for the night. I opened my email. Composed a message to the State Elder Protection Task Force. Subject: Ongoing medical and financial abuse by immediate family. Attached: video footage. Pharmacy statement. Bank transfer attempt. Tax fraud form. Notary's email. Emma's courtroom rehearsal. Typed just one line in the body. This isn't just neglect. It's coordinated. Then I click send. Tomorrow, the court date gets set. They won't see it coming. But I've got every page in order. And one line at the bottom of my notes. No mercy. Only proof. The court date was set for Friday. 9 a.m. sharp. 2 days away. That gave me 47 hours to tighten the net. Which, in revenge time, is practically last minute. I started with a timeline board. Yes, an actual board. Cork. 3x5 cards. Yarn. Pushpins. The whole detective drama package. At the center. HeartMed swap, September 10th. Then, pharmacy visit. Cheryl's fake cancellation. The Walmart humiliation. The fake hospital discharge. Attempted house deed transfer. Emma's fake testimony rehearsal. Each moment had a folder. Each folder had backups. And each backup had been mailed to someone who would talk if I stopped answering my phone. I wasn't paranoid. I was prepared. Tuesday morning, I called Shirley. "Is your nephew still working at the DA's office?" "Of course." "Why?" I need him to walk in my complaint. I want him holding it in his actual hands. She didn't even pause. He owes me a favor. I smiled. Time to collect. At noon, I dropped off the envelope. Hand-delivered. In person. Signed for. Inside, the new piece of gold. A voicemail from Cheryl to her ex-husband. If Mom dies in that house, Emma gets the car and I get the payout. But only if it looks natural. You know what I mean. He forwarded it to me. Said it gave him chills. Gave me clarity. They weren't waiting for me to fail. They were counting on it. Mid-afternoon, I met Miss Tilda in the library study room. We reviewed the filings. Emma's affidavit is handwritten, she said. On the wrong form. It won't survive 10 minutes. She's not supposed to survive court, I said. She's supposed to melt before we get there. Tilda smiled over her glasses. Cruel, she said. I like it. Wednesday morning brought a twist. A letter on my doorstep. And signed. Printed on regular paper. We know what you're doing. Courts don't protect crazy. Watch your step. I read it 3 times. Then put it in a Ziploc bag with gloves and drove it to the station. The officer at the desk looked concerned. Threat? No, I said. A gift. Fingerprints. He smiled. But by that night, I hit a snag. A real one. I got a call from the courthouse clerk. Ms. Emerson? We've had a delay. One of the judges recused themselves. Said they know your family personally. How long is the delay? Could be weeks. Maybe months. No. No. My hands started to shake. This couldn't stall. Not now. Not when the press packet was prepped. Not when the money trail was burning. If they got time, they'd twist the story, file new papers, flip the narrative. I hung up and called Tilda. They're moving the court date. A pause. Then her voice, crisp and cold. We escalate. The solution came from the most unlikely place. The librarian. She called again. I was reading your paperwork. You mentioned a discharge form. Yes. A fake one Cheryl printed. I just saw it. My heart stopped. Where? She tried to file it at the public records desk. I overheard her ask how to backdate a medical filing for a dependent elder. I blinked. What did the clerk say? Nothing. Because I stopped her. And I got a copy. That night, I added a new card to the board. Attempted medical fraud filing, October 3rd. Underlined in red. Then I called the courthouse clerk again. Tell the judge we now have evidence of ongoing document tampering in connection with this case. I'm submitting it tonight. She cleared her throat. I'll see what I can do. By 9 p.m., the email arrived. Subject, emergency hearing reinstated. Date, Friday. Time, 9 a.m. Judge, assignment confidential. I exhaled. The courtroom was back in play. Thursday morning, I went quiet. No more phone calls. No more emails. I made tea. Cleaned the kitchen. Watered the one plant I've never been able to kill. And sat in my chair with the cat on my lap. Just watching the wind. Across the street, Emma sat in her car. Pretending to scroll. Watching my house. I smiled. She still thought she was early to the party. That night, Shirley came over. She brought a chocolate cake and a smile like fire. We're ready. Locked, I said. Timeline's clean. Down to the minute. She poured us each a cup of decaf. You scared? I shook my head. Not anymore. Just tired of pretending this was ever a family. I went to bed early. Laid out my clothes like it was prom. Gray wool skirt. Black blouse. Leather folder with gold clip. One simple pearl necklace. And in my handbag, a thumb drive labeled Exhibit A. Play this first. Tomorrow, everything I've stacked will fall. On them. Hard. And I will be right there, front row, watching it all unfold. With receipts. Friday, 9 a.m. The courtroom smelled like paper and anxiety. I sat in the front row. Back straight. Folder in my lap. Calm on the outside. But inside? Fire. Controlled. Contained. Waiting for the match. Cheryl walked in 10 minutes late. Emma right behind her. Both dressed like they were going to brunch. Too much perfume. Too much fake grief. They didn't look at me. Didn't dare. Their lawyer looked like he'd been fed half a story and a whole bottle of delusion. He barely glanced at my side of the room. Mistake number 1. The judge entered. Gavel dropped. This is case number 4137, petition for guardianship over Ms. Margaret Emerson. I stood before they could even breathe. Your Honor, I have a motion to dismiss and a counterfiling for elder abuse, financial fraud, and medical interference. The judge blinked. Cheryl's lawyer stood too fast. Your Honor, the respondent is clearly confused. This isn't. I have video footage, I said. Judge, let's see it. The bailiff took my flash drive. Plugged it into the screen monitor on the wall. Exhibit A, play this first. The courtroom dimmed. And then? There it was. Cheryl. At my cabinet. Swapping pills. Emma. Laughing. Placebo is cheaper. The room went silent. Except for Cheryl whispering to her lawyer, that's illegal. Can she do that? Yes, Cheryl. I can. Next clip. Emma on video, rehearsing her false testimony. Saying I'd left the oven on. Then giggling off camera. She's basically just a pension in a sweater. Someone in the courtroom gasped. Another whispered, wow. Cheryl stood up. Your Honor, this is out of context. The judge raised his hand. Sit down. She did. Hard. The judge turned to their lawyer. Do you have a response? He flipped through his folder. Empty pages. Worthless paper. I need a recess. Denied. Then he turned to me. Ms. Emerson, do you have additional evidence? I nodded once. Medical records, bank fraud forms, forged documents, witness statements, and a notarized letter from the pharmacist. I held up the folder. The gold clip glinted like a blade. Midway through presenting my evidence, Cheryl started crying. Not the real kind. The performance kind. Sniffling. Dabbing at dry cheeks. Emma looked like she was ready to vanish into her seat. The judge glanced at the screen again. Back to me. Do you have any statements to make before I rule? I stepped forward. Looked at Cheryl. Then Emma. Then spoke clearly. You treated me like a loose end. A walking inconvenience. But I heard everything. I watched everything. I paused. You thought I was fragile. You thought I was confused. I shook my head. I was waiting. Then the bailiff walked over. Handed the judge a new envelope. Arrived this morning, he said. From the state's Elder Protection Division. The judge opened it. Read. Frowned. Then turned slowly. MS. Emerson, the state is opening an investigation. Based on this evidence, your daughter and granddaughter may be facing criminal charges. Cheryl jumped up. She's lying. The judge slammed the gavel. Enough. Emma stood too. I didn't even do anything. The judge stared them both down. You did nothing to stop it. I sat back down. Calm again. Because this was just the start. Then came the first mini cliffhanger. Cheryl's lawyer stood again, frantic. Your Honor, we have new documentation showing a recent diagnosis of cognitive decline dated 2 weeks ago. Submitted by a third party. It raises concerns over Ms. Emerson's capacity. He held it up like a lifeline. The judge took it. Scanned. Then looked to me. Ma'am, have you seen this? I hadn't. I stood. Calm. Check the signature, Your Honor. It's forged. He nodded slowly. Then to the bailiff. Get a handwriting analyst. Then to Cheryl. And you, sit down and start explaining. Mini cliffhanger 2 came fast. The judge looked over at a clerk entering the courtroom mid-session. She whispered something in his ear. He sat back. Stone-faced. We've just received a copy of the discharge form that Ms. Emerson claims was falsified. Pause. It matches the document submitted by the petitioner, down to the typo. He turned to Cheryl. That's perjury. Her mouth dropped open. She turned to Emma. Emma just stared at the table. Didn't say a word. Didn't even blink. I crossed my arms, leaned back, and thought to myself, this is what it feels like when the fire catches. And I'm just getting started. The hearing room felt colder now. Not because the AC kicked in. Because the truth did. The judge set down the forged medical form like it was contaminated. Then turned to Cheryl. Do you know what this is? Her voice cracked. I don't. Wrong answer. Because then the judge said the 4 words I'd been waiting months to hear. We'll need your fingerprints. That's when Cheryl snapped. She shot up, waving her arms like she was drowning. Your Honor, I was trying to protect her. She's confused. She has no idea how much she needs help. The judge just stared. You swapped her prescription medication for over-the-counter vitamins. She didn't need the pills. Cheryl screamed. She just thinks she does. She's stuck in the past. I'm stuck, I said, standing slowly, because I built something worth being stuck with. A house. A life. A family. And you tried to cash it out like a scratch ticket. Emma finally spoke. She didn't mean it like that. Oh. I turned to her. Which part, when she tried to take the house deed, the car title, or my identity? Emma swallowed hard. Looked at her lawyer. He didn't look back. He was too busy packing his briefcase. Mini cliffhanger hit right after. The courtroom door opened again. A woman entered in a gray suit. Clipped steps. Straight spine. She walked directly to the judge and handed him a folder. He opened it. Paused. Then looked up. Ms. Emerson, the state has formally accepted your petition for a financial protection order. Additionally, Child and Family Services is opening an adult abuse investigation based on the exhibits provided. He turned to Cheryl and Emma. Effective immediately, you are barred from contact with Ms. Emerson or her estate. Cheryl gasped. Emma whispered, "What's happening?" I answered, "What's happening is, I won." But I wasn't done. Tilda passed me the final envelope. I handed it to the judge. Final exhibit, I said. Audio recording. Voicemail from Cheryl to her ex-husband. Discussing my death. Emma froze. Cheryl's face went white. The judge pressed play. If Mom dies in that house, Emma gets the car and I get the payout. But only if it looks natural. No one breathed. Then, you know what I mean. The silence was nuclear. The judge hit stop. Turned slowly. I want both of you held for questioning. Immediately. Bailiffs moved. Fast. Cheryl backed away, eyes wide. Emma started crying. I didn't say anything. I didn't even know. I stood again. Exactly. As they were led out, Cheryl hissed at me over her shoulder. You'll die alone. I smiled. No. I'll die with receipts. The hearing adjourned. Tilda clapped once. Sharp. Loud. I told you, she said. You were perfect. But just as we stepped into the hallway, the clerk caught up with us. There's something else, she said, eyes wide. You're going to want to see this. She handed me her tablet. On it? A news alert. Breaking. Daughter faces charges after swapping mother's heart medication for vitamins. Footage goes viral. The thumbnail? Me. Sitting in my chair. Calm. Cheryl in the background, holding the bottle of pills. I scrolled down. Local police confirm a criminal investigation is active. Comment section flooded with support. Go, Grandma. Justice served. She's a legend. But then I saw it. At the bottom of the article. A comment from a user named TruthFinder88. This story isn't over. Cheryl's not the only one who had keys to that house. Watch what happens next. I looked up at Tilda. Anonymous troll? She shook her head. No. That's a threat. I didn't blink. Then we keep the cameras rolling. By Monday morning, Cheryl was out on bail. Emma too. But their names? They weren't just in court records anymore. They were everywhere. TV anchors. Facebook Reels. TikToks with dramatic piano music. Evil daughter swaps grandma's heart meds for inheritance. Caught on hidden cam. Family betrayal at its worst. Even my knitting group started calling me the Angel Cam Assassin. Not bad for a woman who still writes checks at the grocery store. But the best was still coming. Because lawsuits and headlines? That's legal pain. I wanted personal. So I did what no one expected. I invited them back. One final meeting. No lawyers. No cameras. No mercy. They showed up looking like soggy ghosts. Emma wouldn't make eye contact. Cheryl just clutched her purse like it was holy. I didn't say hello. I didn't offer tea. I just pointed to the dining room. They sat. I stood. The power shift was biblical. Why are we here? Cheryl asked. Her voice was tired. Good. You wanted everything, I said. So I'm giving it to you. Emma blinked. What? I pulled out 2 envelopes. Set them on the table. One in front of each. These are certified statements. Copies have already been filed. With the IRS, the state board, and your schools. Emma frowned. School. Yes, I said. You listed my address for residency fraud. And forged FAFSA statements. Your enrollment's being reviewed. Her face crumbled. You ruined me. No, I said. You ruined me. I just took notes. I turned to Cheryl. Her hands shook as she opened her envelope. Inside, her voice on tape. Her forged bank withdrawal. The email to her ex. A copy of the new restraining order I filed that morning. I had to move money, she said. I thought you'd waste it. You thought I'd die, I said. And you tried to speed it up. Emma stood suddenly. You don't get to play victim. You're just bitter. Controlling. I looked at her. Hard. You were 8 when you gave me that handprint in clay. Remember that? She didn't answer. I pulled something from my pocket. It was that handprint. Cracked. Faded. Still had her name carved into the back. I kept it for 16 years, I said. While you were online calling me a burden. I dropped it. It shattered on the floor. Emma gasped. That was mine. No, I said. That was who you used to be. Now it's just proof you left. Then I hit them with it. The real final strike. I'm moving, I said. The house is sold. Cheryl's eyes went wide. You can't. I already did. She stood up, gripping the edge of the table. This is our family home. No, I said. It was mine. And now? It belongs to a nonprofit. They stared. I continued. I donated the entire property. In your father's name. It'll be turned into transitional housing. For women escaping abuse. Emma choked out a laugh. You're bluffing. I slid over the deed. Stamped. Filed. Irreversible. Cheryl's face collapsed. You're leaving us nothing. I leaned in. I left your name. Be grateful. They sat there, stunned. Then Cheryl whispered it. Like a curse. You're heartless. I smiled. No. I have a heart. That's why I protected it. Pause. You tried to replace my pills with sugar. Long silence. Now you get to watch everything sweet rot around you. And just when they thought they could slink away, the doorbell rang. I opened it. 2 uniformed officers. Miss Emerson? One asked. Ready? I nodded. Cheryl stood. What's this? I looked her straight in the eye. You remember that forged power of attorney? Her face dropped. We traced the notary's bank deposit, the officer said. Matches the bribe he received. Emma whispered, no. Cheryl tried to run. The officers moved fast. Cheryl Emerson, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit elder fraud and falsifying legal documents. Cuffs. Click. Emma started crying. You said this wouldn't happen. Cheryl screamed as they pulled her out the door. I'll sue you. I stepped onto the porch. Good luck affording a lawyer. The door slammed. Silence again. Except for the one sound I didn't expect. A second car engine starting down the street. I looked up. There, behind the trees, was my nephew's old Honda. And in the driver's seat? Someone I hadn't seen in years. My sister. Cheryl's aunt. She didn't wave. She just drove away. I turned to Tilda, who had just stepped out from the kitchen. You catch that? She nodded. Frowning. She was supposed to be in Florida. I narrowed my eyes. That family tree has more rot than I thought. Because if Cheryl was the fire, she wasn't the one who lit the match. The next week felt like silence after a thunderstorm. No more calls. No more lawyers. No more fake brunch invites. Just me. And my front porch. Watching the smoke rise from what used to be a family. It started, of course, with them turning on each other. Emma posted a long, misspelled paragraph on Facebook. I never wanted any of this. My mom manipulated me. I was trying to help. 3 likes. 1 angry face. Cheryl's account disappeared entirely. Deleted. Erased. Like that would hide the arrest record now pinned to her name. Then came the voicemails. Emma first. Grandma. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. Can we talk? Delete. Cheryl's came 3 days later. From the county jail phone line. You win. Are you happy now? No. Not happy. Just finished. Shirley came over Wednesday. Brought muffins and her usual detective gossip. They're blaming each other in public now, she said. You should see the comment threads. I didn't. Didn't want to. Some things aren't meant to be relived. Especially when you've already survived them. But then Shirley pulled a folded paper from her purse. Got this from a friend in the records office, she said. I opened it. A visitation petition. Filed by Emma. To challenge the restraining order. Why? I asked. Shirley shrugged. Wants to apologize in person. Or sniff around to see if I left anything behind. Spoiler. I didn't. The house sold faster than I expected. Turns out, when you list it as fully paid, clean title, ready for immediate charity handoff, people move fast. The nonprofit sent a lovely thank you card. They're putting up new drywall. Changing the kitchen tile. I told them to keep the angel statue. They thought it was sweet. 2 weeks later, I sat on the bench outside the courthouse, watching people come and go. That's when I saw it. Emma. Alone. Hoodie up. Face down. Backpack on. She didn't see me until she was nearly past. Then she froze. I didn't smile. She walked up slowly. Grandma. I nodded. She sat beside me. Quiet. Then. She was always like that, you know. Controlling. Manipulative. I said nothing. I didn't want to lose the car. Still nothing. She sighed. I guess it doesn't matter. No, I said. It really doesn't. She stood to go. Then turned back. Do you think you'll ever forgive me? I looked at her. I forgave you already. Her eyes widened. Really? I nodded. Forgiveness is free. But trust? That's dead. She didn't speak again. Just walked away. Later that night, I opened the storage unit where I'd packed my old photos. Found the one of Emma as a baby. Smiling. Wild hair. Reaching toward the camera. I didn't cry. Didn't rip it. Just closed the box. Some memories aren't meant to be on display anymore. Cliffhanger hit the next morning. The mail came. One envelope. No return address. Inside? A photo. Faded. Old. It was of my husband. From the 80s. Standing with a woman I didn't recognize. On the back. Not everything Cheryl did was her idea. I stared at it. No signature. No fingerprints. Just that single, cryptic letter. I picked up the phone. Dialed Tilda. I think the rot goes deeper than we thought. Pause. You have that background investigator still on retainer? Tilda's voice came through like a shovel hitting gravel. Always. Because this isn't just about pills. Or wills. Or stolen money. This is about what came before. And I'm not done digging. I kept the porcelain angel. The one with the hidden camera inside. She's still sitting on the shelf by the window. A little dusty now. Her wings chipped at the edge. But she's still watching. Still listening. Just like I was. The house is gone. Signed over. Renovated. Already filled with new voices. New stories. People walk through that front door now and say, it smells like hope in here. Good. Let them build something better where mine broke. My name's been cleared. My accounts are locked. My will's rewritten. Again. This time with real names. People who earn their spot. And who don't think life insurance pays out faster than love. I've moved. Smaller place. Fewer stairs. I don't mind. There's a cat that likes to nap on my windowsill. There's a neighbor who bakes too much banana bread. And there's quiet. Real quiet. Not the kind that hides something. The kind that means peace. Sometimes I think about Cheryl. Where she is now. What story she's telling herself. Maybe she thinks I was cruel. Maybe she still thinks she was right. But she knows now I saw her. All of her. And I remember. Emma? She sent a letter. Said she wants to be a better person. Said she's in therapy. I didn't write back. You don't build bridges with people who tried to dig your grave. Every so often I open the recipe box. The one I tape the yellow note into. The one that says, don't let them smile at your funeral. I think I'll leave it in there. just in case someone else ever needs it. As for the photo from the letter, the one of my husband with that strange woman, well, that's a mystery for another day. Maybe it matters. Maybe it doesn't. But the handwriting was familiar. Too familiar. And I have a feeling the angel cam hasn't filmed its last scene. People say forgiveness is a virtue. Maybe they're right. But I think memory is more powerful. Because forgiveness forgets. And memory? Memory prepares. So now I sit in my new chair, with my tea, and my chipped little angel. Still watching. Still listening. Still here. Placebo is cheaper, she said. But the truth? Cost them everything.